A change had occurred to the world. It wasn't something ordinary like shifts in tectonic plates or volcanic eruptions, but it was monsters. Suddenly they started appearing around the world, pushing the world to the brink of extinction. And the entity that made that possible for them to appear was the tower, the mysterious land that gave those monsters power and authority. People call it the Devil's Tower or God's Tower. Power, wealth, honor, a tower of 999 floors, granted everything this world has to offer to the climbers. And that tower was controlled by gods and demons. Billions of people have started climbing the tower within the 5 years of discovering the tower. The 9-star, amongst the millions of challengers, 9 people stood above everyone. Using the magic and holy energy they had earned from the tower, their powers were second to none. Among them the star called Death Star. He wasn't a master of a weapon, nor was he superhuman, but he was the man who managed to surpass the 9-star and take the title of the strongest, Cha Jinhyuk. The man who brings death, the epitome of death, the greatest necromancer. While the 9-star were fighting on the 600th floor, power had totally consumed Jinhyuk. He betrayed the humanity and sided with the devil. So the 9-star takes action to kill the traitor. Although Jinhyuk betrayed and attacked the 9-star after being consumed by power, he was unable to defeat the entirety of the 9-star on his own. However, that was just the story the world was aware of. Jinhyuk did not betray humanity. In fact, he was betrayed by the 9 stars, 8 to be exact. And this fact was hidden from the world. At the moment he was about to face death, he used a spell known as soul transmission, sending his soul to another body. Before dying, Jinhyuk decided to ask why did they betrayed him, as he was only trying to help them. The new leader mockingly said he was just pulling out weeds. This made him feel angry, and his last words were that he will return stronger to get his revenge. Now at the present, he wakes up in a new body with a similar physicality, and he was also in the same country. He sees a smartphone next to him and picks it up. He was shocked as 10 years have passed since then, and in these 10 years those betrayers have only reached floor 800. He is also unsure if he can use magic with this body, so he kills a fly and uses his necromancy skill, Awake. But the fly didn't get up, as this body had 0 mana level. So he concludes that in order to take revenge he needs to gain his powers back. So he quickly get his jacket and move to the tower to climb it from the very bottom. Although his body is that of a beginner, but he still have his knowledge of the Death Star. So he enters the tower. First comes the tutorial. It's a little difficult for this body as his stats are also lowered to almost 0. But he has that one skill that made him insanely powerful, gluttony, a skill which grants the power of what he devours. He gets hurt, but after unstopping efforts he completes the tutorial in around a month. Several gods and demons are also interested in him, and an old acquaintance of him, Peak of All Devil, Demon Ball, appears before him to talk. But he ignores her. First he receives the after rewards of clearing the tutorial. His stats are increased in levels, and he receives a special skill, the All-Rounder. With using this he can master anything. He once dreamed of becoming an all-rounder, so with this skill that might be possible. Now he enters the room of choice and training. In this room he can choose a suitable weapon and a class. First he checks a bow using his all-rounder skill, and it was just perfect, so he increased his target's difficulties levels and tried different weapons. Now he is capable of using everything. So the system message appears that all master achievement have unlocked, and he gets 5,000 reward points. He can now select all master as his class, but he hesitates as he wanted to choose that class. So he decides to choose all master as his subclass. The system denies him his subclass slot can only be unlocked after passing 100 floors. He says to exchange his points for unlocking subclass slot. The system unlocks the subclass by using all his points and sets it to all master. Now he gets transported to the first floor. There he founds his first prey, low-level cobbleds. He kills them easily and uses his gluttony skill to devour their strength and memory. He sees the memories of the cobbled king. His stats are now of a 10-floor climber. He thinks that it will be useful to obtain the Slayer achievement now that he is in action, as his past self had already collected Slayer achievements of all the species. And also he used his necromancy skill on the corpses of the kobolds, making his main class a necromancer. He also knows of a secret class that is present on the first floor, so he makes his way to the place by killing every kobold he comes across, making them his puppets. He reaches the place to obtain the secret class, the Spirit Master. Spirit Master is a class that is highest level of necromancy, so he comes to Vulcan the Spirit Master to change his main class to a Spirit Master. A long time ago, before the tower appeared on Earth, Vulcan was the climber who ruled over it. Although he was the strongest necromancer, he kept looking for ways to become even more powerful. He wanted to summon something completely different. He was able to summon souls and make them into powerful summons. After a long time, he created a new class, Spirit Master. However, his old body reached its limit and the Spirit Master class also ended up on the brink of disappearance. So he chose his last resort, which was to use necromancy on himself. Now, Jinhyuk had changed his main class to a Spirit Master, so Vulcan says that a punk was the second Spirit Master, and Jinhyuk is the third. He can now use Soul Crucible to capture souls. So Jinhyuk decided that his first capture will be Vulcan himself, as he was unable to capture him in his previous life. Vulcan resists, but Jinhyuk has blocked his every possible escape by using his tricks. They have an argument. Jinhyuk also tells him he is that second Spirit Master, and now he will capture Vulcan's soul. Vulcan is shocked upon hearing him. He then captures his soul and exits the place. Gods and demons are also shocked about his stats. He then meets his skeleton gang and captures their soul. Then again awaken more powerful soldiers. Vulcan is also summoned. Vulcan again resists, but this time he is dependent on Jinhyuk's mana, so if he cuts off the supply, Vulcan will disappear. Vulcan is also scared of his gluttony skill. He then heads for the castle that the cobbled king has captured. Jinhyuk releases 30 cobbled spirit minions to take care of the cobbled soldiers. He massacres everyone and directly heads for the leader's room. Inside the room, kobolds are making sacrifices for summoning a great power. They also have a rare species, Dakibai, held captive for sacrifice. Dakibai are a powerful species that lives on the 100th floor. In the meantime, Jinhyuk enters the room and smirks at them, saying it's time for them to die. The girl tries to run away amidst the confusion, but the cobbled king attacks her with a deadly attack. Jinhyuk saves her and tells her to run away. Their fight starts. The cobbled king attacks him with corpse bombs, but Jinhyuk dodges them all. Jinhyuk punches the cobbled king. King cannot believe of how a beginner is this powerful, so he uses his most powerful attack, the blood golem, and screams that Jinhyuk will now just die. Listening him, Jinhyuk attacks with the spirit minions. They kills the golem without putting too much effort, and he then murders the king brutally. He receives a high-level armor as drop item. He also warns the demon that helped the cobbled king. He uses one of the basic skills of a necromancer, soul orb production, to use a soul as medicine. He then eats the soul of the cobbled king. His stats are increased, but not as much as he expected. The demon who helped the cobbled king was also an acquaintance with Jinhyuk, so he says if he ranks first in the wave he will also give him an reward. Haru, the girl he just saved, thanks Jinhyuk. He asks her what was she doing here, as their species usually don't descend downwards from 100th floor. And also they are a species that are powerful inside the tower. Even as a climber, it wouldn't be easy to bother them. They were attacked by someone, she said. Jinhyuk wonders, was it one of the 4 great species, the Colossuses of Strength, Giants, the Essence of Magic, Dragons, the Masters of the Demonic Energy, Demons, or the Wings of Retribution, Angels, or maybe the 9-star had done the attacking. Thinking this, he gets angry and starts to leave, but she insists to come along with him. By her stubbornness he agrees, and adds her to his party. Jinhyuk summons Vulcan. He appears and says that no kobolds are left now. Haru could also see him, as some of the Dakibai have high affinity with souls. Jinhyuk thinks he could use gluttony and absorb her ability, but focuses on training her for the time being. And suddenly he receives a message that defeating the Kobold Lord will disable all safe zones and will cause a monster wave on the whole 1st floor. This was just what he was waiting for, to complete his Slayer achievement, so he accepts it. The people on the 1st floor are terrified of the wave and try to leave the 1st floor, and are angry on the guy who accepted this wave. The Kobold wave starts, and Jinhyuk reaches the place, and warns everyone present not to touch any kobold. The attack starts. Jinhyuk summons his spirit minions. Everyone else is wondering how did he got a class on the 1st floor. Haru asks Jinhyuk if she could also try for the Slayer. Jinhyuk permits her. She smirks and summons a sword from a pocket plane. Jinhyuk is surprised. So Jinhyuk, Vulcan, and Haru begins attacking seriously. He transfers the command for summoning to Vulcan and proceeds. In between he heard a voice behind him. It was Kim Seung-tae. He introduced himself and said they are recruiting powerful climbers in their guild White Swallow, and that their guild is a subsidiary guild of the famous 9-star Pelin siblings, Holy Guild. Upon hearing this, insane fury took over Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk calms himself and captures Kim, saying he got some questions regarding that. Jinhyuk spares him and focuses on the wave first, as he will get the information later. Kim and his companions ran away. The war continues. On the other hand, Haru was reaching her limit and was also injured, but this little pain is nothing compared to the pain that she felt when her village was burning. Jinhyuk comes for her aid. Haru also wonders how a first-floor climber is so much powerful, and gets a little emotional because Jinhyuk and Vulcan are the only ones to help her in the whole tower, and that she is indebted to him. She puts on her Dakibai mask and gets a power-up, and becomes very aggressive, obliterating the cobbleds. Jinhyuk concludes that the one that attacked her village must have come for her. They continue, and soon the last cobbled comes out. Jinhyuk lands his final hit, ending the wave. Everyone is relieved, and soon the message appears that reward will be given to the first, second, and third contributor. He also achieves the Slayer achievement and gets +5 to every stat. Now for the contributor position. Jinhyuk is first, Haru is second, and Vulcan is third. Jinhyuk takes the reward of Vulcan for himself. Haru also wants to give him her reward for their future together, but Jinhyuk rejects her proposal and says that he has been already betrayed once, and he doesn't believe her. He asks her for a proof of trust. Haru gave her Dakibai mask along with the reward to Jinhyuk, as Dakibai mask is the power essence of all the Dakibai. This was extremely important to her. He asks her why she wants to be with him so badly. She replies, for saving her life 2 times, for being trustworthy, and of course for revenge. She wants to take revenge for her dead kind. Jinhyuk thought she is just like him, so he agrees her to stay with him and climb the tower. He unboxed the rewards. He got mana ring, mana earring, mana necklace. These are very good items for a necromancer who is a mana type. It will let him increase the quantity and quality of summons by 45%. He then says to the death-observing demon, Bone, about the deal they had earlier. Jinhyuk then reaches an inn. He receives the reward from Bone. He got the demonic energy ring. It was a high-level reward. Demonic energy, a preserve of the demons, a power that can be considered a high-class resource of mana. Usually, in order to obtain demonic energy, one have to become a slave of the demons, for it to be granted to you little by little. Death-observing demon offers a handshake. Since it was such a great reward, Jinhyuk shakes his hand. On the other side, Peak of all evil was extremely jealous. He also wanted a handshake with Jinhyuk, but Jinhyuk denies as he have not give him anything. So Peak of all devil makes a deal with Jinhyuk that he will create a quest. Jinhyuk and others are shocked as a quest from a demon is not an ordinary deal. The quest is to make himself known throughout the tower before reaching 100th floor. But he will have to become Apostle of Ball if he fails to do so. And Jinhyuk can ask a recipe for anything as a reward. And the fees for this quest is to shake hands with Ball. Jinhyuk accepts the deal, shaking Ball's hand. But first Jinhyuk orders Vulcan to capture Kim Seung-tae to extract information from him. Jinhyuk and Haru then continues to travel. On the way she tells him about her main ability, which is future foresight. This could be pretty helpful in the battles with the 9-star, so Jinhyuk hugs her in excitement. In the meantime, Jinhyuk and Haru reaches Vulcan where he have captured Kim. So Jinhyuk scares him a little, and Kim starts to vent out all the information on White Swallow Guild. He then runs away. Jinhyuk decides to destroy all the small guilds influenced by the Pelin siblings. In this way he can also complete Ball's quest. He first reaches to the safe zone before 2nd floor, where he was already popular as the 3-member team that single-handedly cleared the wave. So everyone was there, scared, and wanted to recruit him in their guild if he is not in any. But Jinhyuk didn't wanted to reveal his real name yet, so he put on the Dakibai mask and introduced himself as the Ghost Face. He left from there after creeping them out. He then reaches the 2nd floor and orders Vulcan to bring those preceding floor quest monsters alive. He wanted to try something, and suddenly a cobbled attacks them. It was a perfect opportunity. He attacks the cobbled with demon energy. Just a little graze of it killed that cobbled, but then he captures his soul and fuses it with demon energy. But it became unstable, so he had to lessen the intensity and created a new type of summon, Demon Soul Soldier. But then Vulcan arrives. He is also surprised by his experiment. Jinhyuk then fuses Vulcan's soul forcefully with demon energy. Since his soul was stronger, he had to use all his demon energy and created the strongest Demon Soul Soldier. Vulcan laughs, saying he made a mistake to create a Demon Soul Soldier that is stronger than him. It was intended by Jinhyuk to create a stronger soldier than him, as he had to test the abilities of that mask, so he puts on the mask. Everything feels slower to him. He killed those Demon Soul Soldiers summoned by Berserk Vulcan in an instant, and sent Vulcan flying with a punch. Vulcan is pretty disappointed in himself. Haru then says that it was not the real skill foresight. It was just a side effect, and also explained that he will be able to use foresight with some practice. They then captures the required monsters and process further to the upper floors. They clears 3rd floor, 4th floor without any efforts and reaches the 5th floor. Rumors about Ghostface are started to spread very fast. On 5th floor the monsters will be goblins and uses poison tricks. Jinhyuk says to them, smirking, that preparations are complete for the next species slayer achievement, and they will start the wave tonight. Jinhyuk knew about a trick to create a wave manually, that is to channel mana into the monster spawning orb of the floor. They finds it and do the process. Soon the wave gets started, the uproar begins in the village, everyone was scared. But then the Ghostface appears at the place. The other climbers are a little relieved that Ghostface will now save them. Jinhyuk wanted to spread his name, so he indeed saves them from the wave. But in the battle their demon soul soldiers gets killed by some special type of goblins. But Haru kills them. Jinhyuk uses gluttony on these goblins to absorb their skill, but something wrong was going on with Haru. She was going berserk. The reason for her behavior was her sword. Jinhyuk notices it, but Haru attacks him. Her sword was exuding light. With a single attack she destroyed the village. She starts to attack Jinhyuk. He was having a really hard time against her. She was so strong. So Jinhyuk tries to attack her using future foresight, with the intent of killing her. But he was hesitant. She blocks his attack with her bare hands and pushes him away. She was slowing down. Blood was pouring out from her eyes. It was the after effect of using too much Dakibai abilities. Jinhyuk considers this a chance and awaken a goblin soldier in order to use its paralytic poison on her. He summons 2 of them. He uses his foresight but saw that those will be unsuccessful. Suddenly she gets hit by a paralytic dart from behind Jinhyuk. Yes, it was her blind spot, and she was not able to use her foresight to predict this. That dart also grazed Jinhyuk, so he uses gluttony on a poison dart and gains tolerance against it. In the meantime, Haru was feeling the spirit of the sword inside a plane. He was also a Dakibai. He warns her that if she unsheathes that sword without preparing next time, he will devour her. They reaches the safe zone on 6th floor. And when Haru wakes up, Jinhyuk tells her that her sword is a demon sword and she will be moving on her own now. In other words, Jinhyuk gave her a task of reaching the 10th floor without using that sword, to become stronger so that she can control it. Meanwhile, they will directly move to 10th floor. They will have their reunion there. They continues the journey. A few days later, Jinhyuk reaches the 9th floor and is killing orcs for the Slayer achievement. He is getting the hang of the mask. They are becoming powerful. He orders Vulcan to gather some more alive orcs. Vulcan becomes a little emotional as how he does not respect his elders. They then reaches the trial room. In order to reach 10th floor, Jinhyuk will have to defeat the boss monster. On the side there was also a leaderboard of the time in which boss was defeated. They were all within a minute. Jinhyuk and Vulcan both smirks as their name was not there yet. They gets ready for a combo attack. Vulcan summons his most powerful demon soul soldiers. Jinhyuk flexes his all-master skill, enchanting a magic spear with all types of attack power, and of course with demon energy. 3, 2, 1. The boss appears. Vulcan restricts his movement, and Jinhyuk attacks him with his spear. The boss monster gets killed as soon as the test began. It was in 96 milliseconds. He then submits his name for the leaderboard, the Ghost Face. Everyone under 10th floor are astonished about the latest record for 10th floor, which is not even a second long. Vulcan praises Jinhyuk, saying student, as they even beat the record for the greatest 4 species. He then proceeds for 10th floor. They will wait for Haru here. Auctions are unlocked, and his stats also got a boost. On 10th floor is the largest city that the climbers will visit, and it is where the portal back to Earth lies at. Jinhyuk sells his loot and purchases some potions. On their way, Vulcan asks what was his business that he mentioned earlier. He replied he will get sponsored here. They were being bothered by some vendors and members again and again of the company. Gold Lick. Gold Lick is a company that appeared several years ago in the tower, and Gold Lick is a name of the person who is the richest man in the tower, with unimaginable amount of gold in his possession. Yes, he will get sponsored by the Gold Lick himself. He reaches the Gold Lick company and talks to an employee. He shows his ghost mask. The employee gets shocked and scared. Jinhyuk then offered a deal with 3,000 gold coins that he had earned so far, asking to meet Sir Gold Lick. But the employee denies him by saying Gold Rich is busy, and this amount of gold is not valuable enough for Sir Gold Lick's time. Jinhyuk then says to have a meeting with the manager with this gold. Employee agrees to this proposal. He meets the manager of the 10th floor, Puppet. Puppet also says that the money that he offered was not enough to meet Sir Gold Lick. Jinhyuk says to call him over first, and he will get sponsored by him. Puppet calls him arrogant, and uses his trait, Marionette. He can control the person entangled in his strings at will. But Jinhyuk breaks his magic with ease. Puppet was shocked as it was a magic of level of floor 180. Puppet then uses Mind Realm, an infinite realm newly made by separating the body and the soul, and one has to fight with the experience and strength of the soul to fight. Puppet also suggests that he will get a meeting with Sir Goldlick if he can escape from here. But Jinhyuk sets himself free from Puppet's restraining strings. Puppet is shocked. He concludes Jinhyuk possesses strength of at least 200 floors. Puppet then create an army of puppets. Each puppet is on par with a 50-floor climber, so he laughs that the winner is already decided. Jinhyuk summons many bosses that are found beyond 100th floor using his lick magic. Puppet gets scared, crying, and asks Jinhyuk who the hell is he. Few moments later Puppet wakes up. Jinhyuk was already standing there. Puppet is still scared of him, as he did not release the Mind Realm. Jinhyuk controlled Mind Realm of another creator. Jinhyuk reminds him of his bet of setting a meeting with Goldlick. Jinhyuk also gives him a letter to deliver. They then leaves the place. Vulcan says to go and rest at the lodging, but Jinhyuk denies, and says they still have a task to do, to go to the White Swallow Guild. There were two receptionists talking between themselves. Jinhyuk suddenly slams the doors open and says that the climbing is too easy, and he wanted to join the guild. That's it for today guys, stay tuned for the upcoming parts on my channel. Thanks for watching.